Well, that took a while. We were all expecting it would be done and dusted, maybe by 15, 16. But I think we also had a bit of a conversation saying that if there was one match where they wouldn't be worried in a run chase about net run rate, but just the 2 points, this was the one. And hence the self-explanatory nature of that run chase. Only 134 the target, and they just plodded and plodded and plodded and got there finally in the end. Ridhiman Saha was outstanding at one end, and at the other end, everybody just decided to contribute, cameos really, and help him to get to the 137 for 3 in 19.1 overs. And then, of course, we discovered Pathirana along the way. Here on Cricbuzz Live, joined by Lisa and Shaun Pollock. Shaun, let me get your first reaction, of course, to this new sensation that's been unleashed on the tournament.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Firstly, I've seen that action before at the Wankhede Stadium when I've been in the dugout. I was just a different personnel. Secondly, why don't they get Malinga to CSK? He's got to become the bowling coach. Surely he's got to become the bowling coach if they hang on to him. But yeah, it's something different. And I think we've seen so often in T20 cricket. I mean, obviously the success of Malinga himself, but it's very similar to that. And I think he can only grow in confidence and get better and better as he goes along. He's got those variations. He's got that awesome full Yorker delivery. So I think that's a find. I know he came in under different circumstances, but I think it's someone they're definitely going to look to hold on to, particularly what they've seen from him today. So it was really good to watch.
I know the obvious comparison has to be Sri Lankan for Sri Lankan, but is there a hint of a combination of Malinga and Shaun Tate as well?
Yeah, probably a little bit, I'd say. I guess it'll depend how he develops and, how low will his arm really go? Will he develop slower deliveries like a Malinga that really does drop on you? But it's interesting to note this IPL, the 2 under-19 kids come in and pick up a wicket their first delivery. Brevis picked up Kohli, not a bad one, and Patidar picked up Gill. So I think that's a really good thing for them.
Yeah, the only difference was if you ask Virat Kohli, he might differ on the nature of that dismissal, but Brevis will take it with both hands. But what has happened as a result of this slow run chase, and I think there's no point discussing that, they had a reason. They didn't really care. And they got the 2 points. That's all that mattered, is that they are firmly placed further at the top of the table. And they might also get to know by the time we wrap up tonight that if Lucknow were to end up getting to 18 points, that would probably assure them also of a 1 and 2. So match number 1 in Kolkata would be decided, Shaun. Very simple, even for scenarios.com.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's if you had to have guessed a couple of weeks out, you probably would have gone for that as the match. But yeah, as you say, job done. They just wanted to get those 2 points. It hasn't really affected their net run rate too badly. And I don't think that's going to come into the equation whether they finished second or third. So, I think they've got to be happy. I suppose the only thing was Hardik Pandya. You wanted him to get some runs. So once again, showing his value at the top. But it would have just been nice for Pandya to strike a few out the middle, get a bit of a cameo go in there and go forward with confidence. But there's still one more game.
There still is, but you have to say for Ridhiman Saha, I mean, yes, it would have been great for Hardik Pandya to get in there, and but otherwise, Lisa, you really have to look at only one person, and what that also means is that Ridhiman Saha is our Omnigel relief and recovery player performer of the match, 67 of 57 deliveries, and of course that really means that Ridhiman Saha, well, no dud for fans. I think that's the first thing we tell ourselves. No dud for fans. India's number 1 pain recovery gel, Omnigel. And I think that's the first thing. Maybe not quite as emotional as fans from other teams. But really, Lisa, you have to say that Ridhiman Saha, the big thing he did today, not a cameo, he went on and stayed till the end.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. We mentioned that he needed to score some runs. Needed one of the top 2 to kind of finish it off. When you're chasing a total that's below par, you want your openers to get you off to a good start and someone within your top 3 or 4 to see you all the way through. And he was able to do that. Made took his chance in the sense that Gaikwad dropped him early on, but luck going his way, and he was able to ensure that he got his side over the line. He strikes the ball well. He's got his strengths. It's a shame that Saha is not the type of guy that's first selected in these IPL teams. He's almost your backup keeper, and they go to him when things aren't going well. So maybe this year, with Gujarat, now he's been able to stamp his authority.
Yeah, when the selection first happened, Shaun, we were all wondering, okay, Matthew Wade, not yet tried and tested, new franchise. But it seems that every box that they've wanted to take selection-wise and therefore performance-wise has been coming off. And this one also is another one.
Yeah, he needs the Omni Gel. He was out there for full 40 overs, wasn't he? Yeah, or basically just a couple of deliveries short. But yeah, I think it was a bit of a concern at the top of the order, and we've seen some cameos from him. I think the key to this performance this year is a bit more consistency. And, he does get his team off to a decent start. So even if he gets out after the power play, his strike rate is pretty good. He probably slows down a little bit when the guys are on the boundary and he can't clear them and maybe hit the ball as far out the ground as some of the other guys. But yeah, I mean, there's no worries for them. Top of the order, that's him. He stays there for the rest of the knockout games. That part of the selection is definitely sorted now.
Yep, that's a confirmation there. The Omnigel Relief and Recovery performance of the match. Omnigel, India's #1 pain recovery gel brand, not only gives quick relief, but also recovery from pain. No dard for fans. The unanimous choice, Riddhiman Saha. And Shaun Pollock rightly saying, after he was out there for so long, get him a truckload of Omnigel. He'll need it. Relief and recovery. Because it was hot. Let's remind you, it was hot out there. He fielded in the heat for 20 overs and then, of course, batted for that entire time. Lisa, also, if we go back to the earlier part, when you talk about performing in the heat, Mohammad Shami as well, how good was he yet again?
Yeah, really good. I mean, you look at Gujarat and he's kind of leading the way, isn't he, from a fast bowling point of view. I mean, Lockie Ferguson as well at the start was doing, those two were, the combination was perfect. But now that Lockie is no longer in there and Hardik is joining him every now and again when he decides to bowl, I mean, he just gives them the perfect power play that first over a lot of the time, where either he doesn't go for many runs or he picks up a wicket. So that's all you can ask from your opening bowler, and he seems to do it time and time again.
Shaun, why is it, I mean, as a fast bowler, when we look around, or even spinners, bowlers in general, where every time you talk about, okay, let's look at key performers for the season, Shami's never really talked about until he actually performs, and then you say, well done. All the other bowlers, the Bumrahs, the Rashids, so many of them get talked up. But look at that consistency.
Yeah, and that is key. I mean, look at that. He hasn't got less than 18 wickets in the RPL. So if he's going to have more than just the 14 games this time. So he'll probably be over 20. But I think what the key to him is he's just nailed things. His length and his action is so ingrained now. And it's so rhythmical. He runs in so many straight lines too. He comes to the crease. There's no jumping either way. It's just straight through the crease. And he's just, I mean, he could almost do it on autopilot. He could do it in his sleep. And I think that's where he's at in his career. And you do get to that stage where you just feel so confident. When you get given the ball, you know that you can land it on the right spot at will. And that's a lovely place to be in. And that's why he's been so consistent. But not only that, he's got that ability to take those, or bowl those amazing deliveries that take the wickets. And he keeps doing it up front. He often strikes from in that power play. And he's got some good options at the back end. So, yeah, he's one of their key performers, and they've basically built a lot of their success, particularly bowling-wise, around him.
Yeah, today he had success to show both at the top and towards the end of the innings, and certainly contributed to the fact that Gujarat were not chasing too many, and they just eased their way right in the last over in that chase of 134. But a lot riding on game number 2. We did say game number 1 didn't have too much at stake in terms of where the points would send the teams, but this one definitely will. This is match number 63 from a few hundred meters away from where the earlier match happened. Lucknow against Rajasthan. Plenty at stake. Lucknow want to get into that top 2. Rajasthan want to get in. They want to get in. That is going to be critical for them, because if Lucknow win, and what we predicted could happen in terms of 2 queues up there, first match in Kolkata decided, that could also mean Rajasthan stuck on 14 with just one game to play. And that big scenario.com of all those teams on 14 actually comes true, Shaun, once again.
Yeah, exactly. Scenarios.com. Come on, Lucknow. Let's keep it alive. Let's keep the possibilities. We want to see everyone on 14. That would be I mean, the way this RPL's gone, I mean, the fact that the four teams that are almost relegated at the bottom are the champions, and the new guys on the block are the top two. It's just perfect. Come on. There we go. That's what we want. Every single person ending up on 14 points. That would be just fantastic.
And scenario number one is for Rajasthan to lose to Lucknow. Then Chennai, having obviously had a bit of a blip today, they've unleashed a new bowler, so they'll unleash him on Rajasthan. That will give them the 14. And then, of course, a few more to fall in place. We leave that for the moment. But Lisa, quick update on the toss. Yet again, we've had win toss, bat first. This time around, it's the men in pink who have actually done that. I'm not sure Sanju Samson knew how to react to winning a toss, but he did. He walked up first and he said, we'll have a bat. KL Rahul said he wanted to bowl. Why do a toss? Why give Dhoni all that trouble?
Oh, look, it's good for him to get up his steps. I think it's really important. He's been in a buyer bubble. He needs to get as many steps in. So I think the teams have done well there. For Rajasthan, they're going back to the formula that's been so successful for them. You think of the IPL so far, this edition, they've only chased twice, won one and lost one. The rest of the time, they've batted first, and they'll be hoping that their top order really fires. And I hope that Sanju Samson gets some time out in the middle. He's probably the one, and maybe Riyan Parag as well, a bit of time in the middle to assure his spot as well. He had one player of the match performance. But a couple of changes, Jimmy Nisham coming in. I think that's probably a good idea. He's only played the one game so far. He can give them a bit of both with the ball and the bat. And Obed McCoy comes in as well.
Yeah, that was the interesting one for me. Kuldeep Sen misses out. He's been one of the star performers. So many Indian bowlers have come in, and maybe Shaun, that would have been a bit of a surprise. But certainly, if you want a replacement for the youngster, Obed McCoy is not a bad one.
Yeah, he's not bad at all. Obviously, we know what he can bring to the party, and I think they're looking for. It's big games from now on, isn't it? It's really is big matches, important matches, and maybe they're going for a little bit more of that international experience in that kind of department. Nisham, you do feel for him. I mean, they'll be expecting a little bit from him, but how much can you kind of produce? When you sit on the side, and it doesn't matter how many net practices you have, how many times you bowl balls, it's still to take that into the matches. And the problem with it is when you got one of those players sitting on the side, you think, well, we know what he's capable of, and he's at that standard. I mean, he's just going to, if we pick him, he'll produce that standard. And it's not always as simple as that. So, yeah, best wishes to Jimmy Nisham. Obviously, hope that things go well for him, because it's never nice to sit on the side in these bubbles. Now that he's got his chance, you just hope he has just a good game.
I wonder if Kuldeep Sen, actually, you were talking, Polly, at the start of maybe he's got a slight niggle, because you look at his performances and okay, last game none for 32, none for 42. Okay, two games that didn't really do well, but 1 for 28, 1 for 29, 4 for 20. So maybe he's got a slight little niggle, and they just want to just give him a little bit of a rest and get him firing for the finals. But got to make it first. So I don't know. I'd love to have asked Sanju Samson's the reason for the change.
But I think what it does is, Shaun, Jimmy Nisham gives them that extra bowling option. They haven't necessarily utilized it. They've gone, in a sense, at times with only 5 bowlers. We're not looking further than that. We're not going to try out Yashasvi Jaiswal. We're not bowling Riyan Parag. So this time around, you have a look at Nisham, Ashwin, Bolt, McCoy, Chahal, Krishna. He has people to turn to.
Yeah, you wouldn't think you'd have to go past the first or the back 5 there. And any contribution that you get from Nisham probably would be a luxury. But he does have some good variations. And on particular surfaces, I think he's more suited to the back end of the tournament. His variations, his cutters, what he does with the ball, the slow balls. If our surface is holding just a little bit, he'll be more effective than at the start where some of those pitches were almost like runways. You can just stand and deliver. So it does more play into his kind of plan. But I think first choice would be that those first 5 bowl all their overs and have a good day.
So really what I'm hearing from Shaun, Lisa, is that we're looking at Nisham as clearly a batting all-rounder and the bowling is a bonus.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's pretty much there for Shimron Hetmeyer, isn't he? And we don't see Hetty bowl. So that they want runs, they want the cherry on top that Hetmeyer's been able to give them so far in this edition. And that's his record so far in the IPL over a period of time now that he's constantly kind of been around the franchises, comes in for 1 or 2 games a year. Which is really tough. So let's hope for him, he's able to come, because we've seen what he can do at an international level. We just haven't seen it yet in the IPL.
No, he's much better than those figures.
Yeah. Let's see him be a literal replacement for Hetmeyer and come out with a hairdo like that. And then he can tweet about it and it'll go viral. That will be.
Is Hetmeyer back?
He's going to be back for the next match, is what we're hearing.
Okay, right.
If they're winning, otherwise he doesn't have to come back.
True.
Maybe.
Oh dear. Get scenarios.com from travel agents. Oh, yeah.
It's a travel agent now as well.
Yeah, everyone needs to keep an eye out for that. Shimron, we don't need you. They said you're not needed. But what about the opposition? For once, we suggested in our preview just one change, and that's exactly what happened. It's more than logical. Karan Sharma out, Ravi Bishnoi in, should have been in throughout, and this looks like this is the side. That's the 11 for Lucknow to go right to the end, John.
Yeah, talking about their bowling, it was just start with him because he's in the bowling department. I mean, they've been sensational. Some of those guys have really delivered. Moshin Khan's been probably the fan for me of the season. Really been impressed. Avish Khan's back to some of his best. Shamir has been brilliant. Holder offers you good variations. You've got Krunal Pandya. But I do like the Bishnoi option. I mean, even Stoinis can contribute, but I like what Bishnoi brings. I think it's just a case in point. It's just against the left-handers. If they could just come up with another plan for him, I think sometimes the option to go around the wicket might be better because he doesn't get it to turn back and he just keeps sliding onto the left-handers and offering up a little bit of width. So I think he's with his variations and the length he can hit. I'm not surprised they've got him back in.
We've had a few spectacular arrivals. Umran Malik probably leads the way. Not really an arrival, he was a retention, but he certainly showed the way there. But for some of the unexpected names, Mohsin Khan probably leads the way in terms of nobody really expected him to do anything because he came in purely as a replacement and he just stuck.
Yeah, you ask and you hope for players to take that one opportunity that they're given, and he did exactly that. Came in, I think, for Avish Khan, didn't he? And then got to the point where they couldn't drop him because of his performances. Avish Khan comes back in and they play together as well. So it's a great story of just pure, no doubt, the amount of hours and work that he's gone into getting everything right. And he wasn't overawed by the occasion. He was able to execute under pressure, and he has certainly been the find of this season.
I think also when you look at attributes, I mean, from the outside, often I've been involved in roles where you're trying to find whether a guy's got it. There's a lot of attributes without even bowling a first ball. I mean, he's tall, he bowls from the high point, he's got the variations, and he gets the ball to shape, and he bowls over 140. So, I mean, I'm surprised that people actually weren't expecting more from him because, I mean, there's his figures: 6 matches, 10 wickets, average of 10, economy rate, next level. I must say, I mean, I'd never seen him before, never heard of him before, but why they weren't expecting too much from him, I'm a bit surprised because, as I say, I just feel like when I've seen him first up, I think, oh, there you go, he's got most of what you need.
One of the factors probably injury, Lisa. He was part of Mumbai and for 3 seasons, in and out, injury, net bowler. So I guess once that was sorted out, the ingredients are there.
Yeah, well, I didn't know the backstory of that, but also I think sometimes when someone bowls that quick, if you don't have something else to go to, then you get found out. And I've also been impressed with his cutters and how he's been able to find the right line and length, and he's able to kind of hone in at the stumps, but also slide across the right-hander as well. So he's got all of the attributes in that sense. So maybe early on he just wanted to steam in and bowl quick, and maybe that's why he kept breaking down, whereas now he's a lot stronger and he's figured out, where he needs to push his body and how he needs to be able to bowl well in T20 cricket.
The other thing is when you're making a selection, even if you're not very much part of the entire internal setup, and you look at Chamira, Holder, Avesh Khan, and seeing all that, then you're not really considering somebody else to be needed to be stuck in there. But he came in there, and he's very much become a part of this lineup. He's bowling the first over with Lucknow having lost the toss. Rajasthan decided to bat first. In the light of all that, 177 reserved for Shaun Pollock, going once, going twice.
Yes.
Oh, gone. That's fine. How easy is he to convince? That's lovely. 177 for Rajasthan. Lisa, once again, we just have to work around that score.
Yep, 185.
185. Rajasthan go just two ways. They could implode or get to 200. They could get to 200 on that Brabourne wicket, but maybe it's late in the season. Can they get to 200? Doesn't matter. I can try for it. 199. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. It's one of those days if these guys come off, but just on second thoughts, that Lucknow bowling lineup, oh well, I'm sticking to it. 199. At most I'll lose. What's the worst that could happen? That's what we have for you. We've looked back. Gujarat, 2 more points, top of the table, waiting to see their opponents. Lucknow win tonight. They're likely to be their opponents in Calcutta in that first of the qualifier games. That's all we have on the show. 10th over. We should be back on Cricbuzz Combox. For now, from Lisa, Shaun, and myself, that's all on Cricbuzz Live.